Do you believe in ghosts? Welcome back to Paranormal Experience. I'm Melissa.
I'm Kelly.
I'm Mandy.
Today, Kelly is going to tell us all about Dogman.
The Dogman of Northern Michigan.
Love it.
The Dogman is a cryptid. Basically, those that have reported seeing him describe him as having a dog-shaped head, a human body, and walks on two legs. But there are varying descriptions along the years of seeing him on all fours and raised up on his hind legs. Basically, he has either red or yellow glowing eyes. He can be anywhere from 7 to 9 foot tall.
So kind of like a Bigfoot, but with a dog face.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm thinking, northern Michigan, they have wolves and things. So maybe it's kind of based off of that.
Oh, so I kind of picture a cross between like a Bigfoot and a werewolf.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But footprints that I've seen doing my investigation here, basically they're big dog prints. It would look like a wolf, I would think, because wolves are pretty big.
Yeah.
But the first reported sighting of Dogmen was back in 1887 in Wexford, Michigan, by two men that were out doing their lumberjack deeds.
Is that by Cadillac?
It's up in the northwestern part of Lower Michigan.
Because I think Cadillac is in Wexford County.
Yep.
Okay.
In that area. Over the years since then, there have been other sightings. In 1937, in Paris, Michigan, this one is pretty well known. The guy's been interviewed. His name is Robert Fortney. He was out fishing, and he said a pack of 5 wild dogs approached him. He shot his gun into the air to scare them away. 4 of them ran away, and the 5th one raised up on its hind legs and just stared at him.
They gave me chills.
Yeah. That would be kind of scary.
It would be.
Yeah. 1950s, there were a couple of sightings. 1967. And then the next ones that were documented, 1993 was in Grand Haven. So that's right over on the west side there. A man named Ben saw the Dogman 3 times in 1 year.
Wow.
And
do you think he's in Grand Haven? Is that one? Or?
Yeah, that was in Grand Haven. So 3 different occasions in 1 year he saw the Dogman. The last one being in the driveway of his parents.
I mean, I know there's the state park.
Yeah.
Over by there. It's wooded.
Yeah, and it's not super populated in Grand Haven.
No, just a little town, and I feel like the rest of it's not.
Part of the Michigan Triangle, I think, right?
Yeah, probably.
I don't remember, but it sounds familiar.
Because it's like over Lake Michigan, basically, and then like the surrounding areas.
In 1994, there was someone who was driving down a road and thought he hit a deer, but when he got out of his car, there was no deer, and there was only long gray fur stuck in the bumper of his car. That is still
up for debate, but that's...
Yeah. Deers usually aren't gray.
Their fur's not long.
Right. Right. And other sightings, again, they're mostly up in northwestern Michigan. Some are in Wisconsin. The biggest ones are in Traverse City, Cross Village, which I'm not familiar with that, Big Rapids, and Manistee County. A lot of wooded area. I was trying to look at more recent ones. The most recent one I could find that had actually been documented, other than like YouTube channels, documentaries, that kind of thing, was a big trucker. He said he was driving and saw the Dogman in the road. He said it changed his life forever.
Oh.
Must have scared the bejesus out of him. But the weird thing about the sightings that I did look up, but obviously not all of them apply, is that it says, like, the sightings come in groups, like, every 10 years.
I don't think I've ever heard that. And I feel like I've listened to people
and a few things I've looked at said that. The other thing is, it's every 10 years, but it ends with 7s. The first sighting was in 1887. The 1950s, I couldn't find a specific year, but then it was 1967.
Okay.
So that kind of matches up. Then you get to 93 and 94, and that kind of messes up the whole 10-year thing. And then 2017, of course, that is a 7.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, 2024.
Couple leap years caught up.
Yeah. 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 I mean, and I've seen, some shows and things. Again, it's like the whole Bigfoot thing. It's like, is there a dog man? Is there a Bigfoot? We don't know. Until somebody gives me some real evidence. I mean, I'm not going to say there's not.
But we don't know.
We don't know.
We don't know.
Yeah. So basically, that's why it's called an unverified cryptid. So other thoughts on what Dogman could be is a shapeshifter.
Okay.
Or a skinwalker. And both of these kind of tie back to Native American legends. One comes from the Ottawa tribe. They say that there is a dogman and it's, part of their history. But there's 3 other Native American tribes that use wolves as their spirit animals and had rituals or beliefs or, things to do with wolves and wolf people. So that it would be the Ojibwa, the Ojibwe, and the Anishinaabe. But they have spirit animals that are wolves. So some compare the Dogman to a Anubis, which is a mythical figure from ancient Egypt. But again, it was the man with the head of a dog.
Okay.
I recall
that.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, that's an old legend, but that's on the other side of the world. My understanding is the Dogman has been, spreading out in his popularity. But we'll get to that in a minute. And of course, the other thing that they tie Dogman to are werewolves, if you believe in werewolves. I did see a YouTube video that they were talking about the Dogman, and they were saying that some people do religious activities that turn people into werewolves.
What?
Yeah, I thought that was a little far-fetched, but again, who knows? I'm not going to put anything past anybody.
I thought you just had to get bit and a full moon or whatever.
Yeah. Exactly. I didn't know you could, drink something and become a werewolf, but whatever. Whatever floats your boat. Mostly northwestern Michigan, but there were some sightings in Wisconsin. And there seems to be a roadway near Elkin, Wisconsin. They call it the Beast of Bray Road. So people have sighted a wolf man while they're driving down this road. They've seen it searching on the sides of the road for prey. And they said if people have stopped or pulled over, it has approached their car. So that's not something I would...
I would much rather just be in a reported violently haunted house than be approached by Dogman in my car.
Yeah, I don't want any cryptids approaching me. Thank you.
Usually they run away. Like Bigfoot usually would run away.
Right, he does run away.
I mean, Mothman did go up to the cars though.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
So
he was chasing them in pursuit.
Dogs do chase cars.
Yeah. Oh, true that. There you go. So kind of as discussed earlier, most sightings seem to be in northwestern Michigan, a few in Wisconsin, but now more states are reporting sites all over America. And how they're defining Dogman versus Bigfoot, not really sure. I guess maybe the head shape.
I think when people depict him, he's often more crouched over, whereas Bigfoot seems more like human stance.
But most recently, in Texas, they're calling it the Dogman Triangle. There's been a lot of sightings. And there's actually a documentary that was released in 2023 by the same name called Texas Dogman Triangle. If you're interested, that link will also be in the notes. Of course, Dogman isn't really maybe known as well as Bigfoot is, but he's beginning to garner a good size following. There are multiple movies and documentaries about the Dogman. In 2011, a film was done by Rich Brower, aptly named The Dogman, and it premiered in Traverse City, which again is right in the center of northwestern Michigan, in 2023, The Dogman Triangle. There was a song in 1987 written and performed by Steve Cook, who's the DJ in Traverse City. Originally, he had done it as an April Fool's joke, not really knowing much about the Dogman, but maybe just hearing some of the stories. He's never had his own experience, but He wrote a song, and for a while I lived up there during that time, and they played that on the radio all the time.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And there's books written about him. I actually saw an Unsolved Mystery episode about the Dogman.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it was Unsolved Mysteries. I looked it up. And some of them you're like, oh, okay. And then some of them are like, no, that's Uncle Bob in a suit. You know?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
And then, I was also searching just on social media in general. And again, a couple of them were like, oh, okay, well, maybe that's something. And then other ones were like, no.
Yeah.
No, that's somebody in a suit. It's what you want to believe, what you want to be interested in, what you think might be out there, I think.
My boyfriend's friend currently lives in, I don't remember the name of the city, but it is south of Cadillac, a little bit south of Cadillac.
Okay.
He lives kind of in the woods that swears he's seen Dogman.
Okay.
Recently, like within the last couple of years. He swears he's seen them. And my son went up there with my boyfriend a couple of years ago. They were hunting, and they were just telling him all those stories. And I don't know if Sean actually believed any of them.
Yeah.
But they swear that they've seen him.
Well, maybe.
I want to go.
You want to go? Well, we can, with my family still, some of them still live up there. We can go Dogman hunting if you want. And I've talked to some of my family, and of course some of them are like, ha ha ha, whatever.
Of course.
And some are like, oh yeah, we've been out in the woods and we've heard some things that just, aren't human.
Mm-hmm.
And then another family member I talked to, she's like, yeah, she's like, it's really a thing. She's like, and I don't think it's any of those things. She's like, I think it's like military experiment gone wrong.
Oh.
And I was like, maybe, I don't know. I mean, there's so many different things out there, and that, can happen and be and whatever.
There
It could be just, the boys hanging out in the woods, drinking
smoking.
And...
It's funny because Andy, my boyfriend, he is like a huge hunter, and he's like seen every animal, and he knows what they sound like, he knows the tracks. So, and it's his friend that's saying all this, and I asked him, I said, is he full of it? And he's like, I don't know, like what he's saying doesn't sound like anything I've ever seen hunting, it's not a bear, and so who knows?
Yeah, and I'm not trying to make fun of anybody,
No.
Because I've experienced and seen some strange things in the paranormal. And I don't have pictures of them. I don't have them on video. I mean,
Right.
I believe and know what I saw.
Right.
But I can't make somebody else
Believe it.
Yep. So I guess I have to give grace to anybody else who says they saw something, and,
Mm-hmm.
okay.
We just don't know.
Exactly. How about you, Melissa? You any Dogman encounters?
I haven't. I've heard Dogman be spoke about a few times at paranormal conventions, mostly by that, was it Chitan Noir? Was she the
Yes, she
person
has
that
a book.
speaks about?
Yeah.
I do remember that story when we went.
Yep.
I think it was it at the Bigfoot?
Did they speak at the Bigfoot convention?
Mm-hmm.
Because was there Dogman poop? Or was that Bigfoot poop?
They said it was...
Can't capture the animal on film, but we have his poop.
They also did a Bigfoot calling contest.
Nice.
It was a fun convention.
Yeah. But no, I do think they did talk about the Dogman at the Bigfoot convention, and she had a story, and I cannot remember exactly, so don't quote me, but was she sitting outside, like, on top of a truck or something?
Oh, I have no recollection really of it. I mean, I remembered that it happened.
Because in my research, I found she did write a book about it. And there is a video, like somebody's yard cam captured something. But I want to say it was down, like, near the Appalachians, because they have a lot of stuff going on down there, too. They caught something walking through their yard. But, after doing the research on Dogman, I'm thinking maybe that's what it was, because it was walking on 2 feet for most of it. It did get on 4 for some of it, but it was kind of hunched over and bony and just,
Mm-hmm.
It looked like a man, but not all the way like a man.
Right.
I
want to see Bigfoot. He's my...
I would like it if cryptids were proven to be real.
Yeah.
I've told Melissa this before. Like, I don't care if anybody believes me, but I want to see something. I mean, I don't care if anybody believes me, because as long as I know I saw it,
right.
Like, that's all that matters to
Mandy loves Bigfoot. So one day we're going to go Bigfoot hunting. But Mandy loves Bigfoot so much that I just accidentally bought her a poster that she already had. Now we have to find somewhere else to give it to. And it's Bigfoot, and he's like kind of like in a provocative stance.
Oh, okay.
And
He's laying on his side.
There's a raccoon.
Not George Costanza. That's the Robert or
Burt Reynolds.
Burt Reynolds did the same pose with a kitty cat.
Yeah, well, Bigfoot did it with a raccoon.
Oh, nice. Back to your thing about the whole cryptid improving them kind of thing. Well, it's just like spirits, right? Or ghost hunting. You might have an experience, and you might even capture it on film. But getting the populace to believe it,
right?
Because they're always going to be like, "Oh, that's AI," or you made it look like that, or you added that, or So until they have the experience, I don't know how you're ever gonna 100% prove there is.
And it's like, even okay, so like if you have like a picture that you think is paranormal or whatever, it's still like that when you're showing other people that believe in the paranormal.
Yeah.
It's like even kind of hard to get them to believe sometimes, that.
Oh, well, I'm skeptical. People can show me stuff, and it's like, okay, well, maybe, but what else was going on? Was a car going by? Was somebody standing in the light to make the shadow?
Yeah, I don't know. I've seen a couple of pictures that people have just showed me over time, and I think, could they be so clear? I mean, sometimes people show me pictures and it's just, it's not anything but really clear. But, the few times that I have seen one that was just so clearly, it's like, is that a person? Like, are they trying to stage something? I think that way as well, just because.
Yeah.
I mean, they could, you never know. It was that clear. If it was that easy to get it that clear, you would have so many more pictures.
I think, I know the reason I think this is I've read this before and I kind of agree with it, that like cryptids and stuff could be like maybe they're from a different plane or
like a dimensional kind of thing.
Yeah, and that's why we can't prove it.
Yeah. And when I start going down that little, my head just goes.
Yeah, for sure, right? But I mean, it makes sense. Yeah, why we don't ever have bodies of these things, or because I don't think everybody that sees it is lying or faking or.
No, I don't either.
No, I don't either. I mean, and people believe in aliens, but who's to say aliens don't look like Bigfoot or Dogman or the Loch Ness Monster? Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they could be. You and I could be, for that matter.
We could be.
Well, I mean, isn't there like a whole thing? Remember there was like that kid from Russia who insisted that he was reincarnated.
Oh, no, I was thinking of a whole different one that I read about recently.
And that he was from Mars. And that like he came to warn us to not do something because apparently, we were gonna, I don't know, something about mankind moving to Mars, and he went back in time with his reincarnation or something, I don't know, to like stop us.
Yeah, I haven't heard about that one. I mean, that could be like well, if he's from Mars, I mean, then he would be an alien, even though he looks like us, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, I read one, the guy clearly is an alien, but it sounds like it's some kind of weird abduction thing. He showed up in Russia in like the 70s, clearly wearing clothing and a camera and everything. He was wandering the streets. And he was like from the 30s or 40s. And, nobody would believe him. And they thought he was a little insane, and took him in and developed his film, and lo and behold, the film in his camera hadn't been available for 20 years, and he was able, and on the film there was a picture of him and his girlfriend, and he was wearing the same clothes that he was found in, and that he said he took that picture the day that he lost 20 years.
Oh my God.
He was out taking pictures of the town, and then they had pictures of the town that those buildings weren't there anymore. So, but he lost 20 years. So where was he for 20 years? But he hadn't aged at all? How do you explain that? But anyway, so we're way off the Dogman track. But who knows? He could be an alien as well.
I think that you were just talking about Sergei Panomarenko.
Yeah.
The Ukrainian time traveler.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was looking up the one that I was talking about because it was really interesting, but I can't remember too much offhand. And I actually found yours, so I wonder if they are somehow connected. I'm not sure.
But how strange would that be? 1 minute you're doing your thing, and the next minute you're somewhere 20 years in the future. I mean, could you imagine? I mean...
No.
No, I would feel like my mom trying to use a phone. Could not.
So what would you do, Mandy, if you ran into the Dogman?
Oh boy, okay. I'm not gonna lie, I would be a little bit afraid, okay? I would hope that I could just look at it from afar.
It just seems so much more dangerous than meeting Bigfoot, which doesn't seem safe.
Well, see, I don't know, in my brain, Bigfoot is just friendly and...
He's like Harry and the Hendersons.
Yeah, a Dogman, I imagine more
wants
fangs.
To eat me,
yeah.
rip my leg off.
Yeah, and all the adult sightings of Dogman are he wants to eat them.
Right.
But...
He's like a predator. He's...
Yeah.
Where... I feel like Bigfoot, they don't really talk about him in that way a lot. So
he's usually trying to get away, right?
Yeah.
That's why they can't get pictures of him. No.
Yes.
But I did read about the Dogmen that children have been able to get close to him or whatever. I was researching and found the story of a little boy who every day went into the woods and told his parents he was visiting his friend, and one day he took, his older brother with him into the woods, and they found a cabin. And
cabin in the woods.
Yeah, and the older brother went up to the window and looked in, and there was a man with the head of a dog.
Oh my God.
That was his house, and his little brother had been visiting him every day, and it was his friend. It's like, well, that was interesting. Befriends children, eats adults.
Well, that's weird that he had a cabin.
Yeah.
So, alright, so that kind of implies... okay, let's go back to the werewolf thing. Werewolves can be people, right?
Yeah.
And then they shift.
Yeah.
Because I feel like an animal would not have the house. It
right.
had to be like a person.
Or, maybe he's cursed or something. There's so many different things to look at for something like that,
What I was talking about earlier was what they call the Indigo Child. And it was a person from Russia. When they were 11, they issued warnings in a video that went viral. And it says he also met with scientists who were left baffled by his knowledge about the planetary system. So he claimed that he and his species were wiped out after a nuclear conflict on Mars thousands of years ago. It was reincarnated to Earth to warn us. So I actually followed this for a lot of years, and I don't think it was ever... they were never able to prove it false. But he just kind of disappeared. Nobody heard from him.
He probably had him locked up somewhere doing experiments on him.
Like Stranger Things.
Yeah, maybe.
Russia.
Yeah. That concludes our episode on Dogman, and I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.